Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Dear pupils, welcome again. I'm your teacher Halfaya توفيق, and here we are again. So today's lesson is very important. I hope you are doing your best at school, and also you have to follow and watch these videos in order to take more experience in your bigger exam. So before we start our video, we have some stuff to do together. Alright, first we are going to deal with this, then this, and this, and of course together we are going to do the task. Very good. So I want you to pay attention very well, okay, and try to do the task with me. It's very important. Now let's go. Okay, then we shall start now, but first we have a presentation, a very short presentation that we are going to show. As you see on the screen here, presentation. This presentation is about Eiffel Tower. Yes, that's the way how we write it. Eiffel Tower, which is a very famous landmark in Paris, France. Now let's start the presentation. The Eiffel Tower is the most famous monument in France. It is situated in Paris. It was built by 250 workers for the International Exhibition of Paris of 1889 in memory of the French Revolution. It was designed by Gustave Eiffel. The tower was met with much criticism from the public when it was built, with many calling it a nice car. Newspapers of the day were filled with angry letters from the arts community of Paris. Now it is the most visited Paris monument. Very good. So this was a very short presentation about this landmark, which is the Eiffel Tower. Now, as you see here on the screen, I highlighted some words in red and in blue. Now, let's see the first highlighted words. Was built by. Then, was designed by. After that, was met. And finally, or not finally, was built, and finally were filled. Now, these words, or let's say these sentences, are in passive voice. Now, in English, we have the terms active voice and passive voice. So, let's explain what do we mean by active voice and passive voice. Okay, very good. After explaining all this, let's move to the next one. Good, together, come on. Okay, we shall start explaining the terms active and passive form. Now, as you see here on the screen, also you have this mouse pointer, it's moving, just follow it, right? So we have this table. In column 1, Gustave Eiffel, and beneath it, subject doer. Okay? When I say the doer, I mean the doer of the verb. Okay? Gustave Eiffel. And the next column, designed. And beneath it, verb in the past simple, active form or active voice. Both of them are correct. You can say active form or active voice. Both of them are correct. And the third column, we have the Eiffel Tower. This is the direct object. Now, this sentence is in the active form. I want to change the following sentence into the passive form. What am I going to do? How to do that? What steps am I going to follow? Alright? So, the steps that I'm going to follow are easy. Okay? Step by step, you are going to understand how to change the following sentence from active form into passive form. Also, we have the second table. Now, I changed the following sentence from the active form into the passive form. Now, look at these two arrows. Arrow number 1. Okay? We have the doer, Gustave Eiffel, which comes in the beginning of the sentence. When I change or when I turn my sentence from active into passive, the doer of the verb takes the last place in the sentence. Okay? So the order must be changed. And the second arrow the Eiffel Tower, which is the direct object, comes the first. But the verb remains in the middle. However, we have some changes to make. Now, I put my direct object first, from here to here. Now, the direct object, is the Eiffel Tower. Then comes the verb. Now, here the verb is in the past simple. Okay, the verb is in the past simple. Now, I put the verb next to the direct object. Okay, but I have to change the verb from the past simple into the past participle. Alright? As you know, we have two types of verbs. We have regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs which end with ed. Alright? And irregular verbs that change completely or they remain the same. In this case, I have a regular verb. A verb that ended with ed, as you see here. Now, I change the verb from the past simple into the past participle here. And before that, we have to be in the past. As you know, to be in the past must be was or were. And when you say was, that means the direct object is singular. But if the direct object was in plural, I say were. Okay? For example, when I say the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty were designed. Okay? I don't say was. Now, as I said before, I changed my verb from the past simple into the past participle preceded by to be in the past, which is was or were, was if it was singular, and were if the direct object was in plural. Then I put by. Okay? After by comes the subject or the doer. Now, let me just give you a very, very interesting piece of information here. If the sentence is in passive, you are not obliged to put the rest of the sentence. I mean, by Gustav Eiffel. I just say the Eiffel Tower was designed. That's what do we mean by a passive form. That means the doer is unknown. In the active form, the doer of the verb is known. When I say Gustav Eiffel designed the Eiffel Tower, that means the designer of Eiffel Tower is known. Who is he? Of course, Gustav Eiffel. But when I change my sentence from active into passive form or voice, I shall not mention the doer of the verb. Alright? It's not necessary to say by Gustav Eiffel. You just keep the sentence like this. The Eiffel Tower was designed. But if you want to complete your sentence and mention the doer of the verb, you just say by and you mention the doer of the verb. In our case here, the doer of the verb is Gustav Eiffel. Very good. Now, let's move to the next part. So, in this part, we are going to explain the meaning of active and passive forms of voices and the difference between them. Follow with me, please. The active and the passive forms of voices are two different ways of organizing the content of a sentence. Very good. It's very easy. Let's move to the next one. We have an example. Example number 1. On October 16th, 1834, a fire destroyed most of the building. So as you see here, this sentence is in the active form. And here, the word of fire is in red, and most of the building also is in red. Now, let's see the following sentence from active into the passive form. Also, before we start, we have a fire which is a subject or a doer, and most of the building is the direct object. Now, the sentence here is changed. On October 16th, 1834, most of the building was destroyed by a fire. Here, the sentence is in the passive form. Let's see the order again. Now, the order is changed. It's no longer the same, just like in the active form. Now, the subject comes first and the doer or the agent comes last. Look here, the arrow shows the direct object here in the beginning, and the doer of the verb is in the last. Okay, so the order is changed. Of course, with some changes that happen to the verb also. We have the verb in the past simple, destroy, the verb ended in ed. So we are going to change the verb from the past simple into the past participle, as I said before, preceded by to be in the past, was if it is singular, and were if it is plural. Now, let's see again. In the active form, the focus is on the subject or the doer of the action. Between two brackets, as I mentioned before, the fire or fire. The active form is the typical usual form or structure of an English sentence. Now, this is the rule: subject plus verb plus direct object. Don't forget the rule, it's very, very important. In the passive form, the focus is on the person or the thing that the action was done to. Here, in our example, the building. The passive form or structure of an English sentence: subject between two brackets, direct object of the active sentence, plus to be plus past participle of the verb, plus by plus agent. When I say agent, I mean subject of the active sentence. Now, to explain more, we need a task so we can practice how to change sentences from active forms into the passive form. And now it's time for the task together. Let's go. Okay, now we shall start our task. Task 5, page 37. I write the correct form of the verbs between brackets. Now, before we start the task, I shall give the question or the sentence. The only change that you are going to make is within the verb. Alright? The structure of the sentence is correct into the passive form, but the verb is not correct. You have to do some changes to make the sentence correct into the passive form. Tim got to be found by the Romans. Follow the mouse pointer. We have the word Tim got and our verb by the Romans. The doer of the verb and the direct object and our verb. Now the verb is not conjugated yet. You are obliged as a task to change the verb into the past participle so you can make the sentence correct. Let's see the correct answer. I hope you are trying to do the task with us. Tim God was founded by the Romans. Ignore this verb between two brackets here. The sentence is Tim God was founded by the Romans. So as you see here, we have changed the verb and now it is in the past participle preceded by to be in the past, was or were. In this case it is was. Very good, because our direct object is singular here. Now let's move to the second sentence. Sultan Ahmed Mosque be built in the 17th century. We have the verb to build. Alright, what changes you are going to make? Let's see. Sultan Ahmed Mosque be built. The verb now is was built in the 17th century. So the correct sentence is Sultan Ahmed Mosque was built in the 17th century. So the verb here, we changed the verb build into the past participle. That became built. It's irregular. This verb is irregular. Here the verb is regular. that ended with ed, but here the verb is irregular, completely changed. Now let's move to the next sentence. The House of Parliament along the River Thames in London. And we have our verb here, which is situate, the synonym of the verb located. So let's see the changes and the complete sentence. The House of Parliament was situated along the River Thames in London. Very good. Now let's see the last sentence. I hope you are following. Shakespeare's house be located in the small town of Stratford-upon-Avon. The verb is to locate here. Let's see the correct answer. Shakespeare's house was located in the small town of Stratford-upon-Avon. Alright, now after finishing task number 1, we move to task number 2. Alright, task number 2, I turn the following sentences into the passive. Very good, so let's check sentence number 1. Thomas Edison invented the phonograph in 1877. Very good, so this sentence is in the past simple, right? And it's in the active form. Now we are going to change the following sentence from active form into passive form. As I explained before, pay attention to your verb. Alright, let's check the correct answer now. But before I reveal the answer, I hope that you are trying to do the task with me. Alright, so here comes the answer. The phonograph was invented by Thomas Edison in 1877. As you see here, we have the verb invented. Okay, we conjugated the verb from the past simple into the past participle, and of course the verb is preceded by to be in the past, was. Alright, and we added by, and of course Thomas Edison comes the last. Now let's see sentence number 2. Marie Curie discovered radium in 1898. So we have the noun Marie Curie, or the doer of the verb, let's say, and the verb discovered in the past simple, it's a regular verb, and the direct object radium in 1898. Now let's check the correct answer. Radium was discovered by Marie Curie in 1898. As you see, this sentence is in the passive form. We conjugated the verb discovered from past simple into past participle preceded by to be, and the past was we used was because our direct object is singular. If it was plural, we would use of course to be were in the past, and by, and finally the doer of the verb. Now let's go to sentence 3. Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote 100 Years of Solitude in 1971. The order of sentence is clear. We have the doer of the verb Gabriel Garcia Marquez. We have the verb wrote. Okay, it's in the past simple. And the direct object 100 Years of Solitude in 1971. So let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is 100 Years of Solitude. This is our direct object. Was written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez in 1971. Excellent. Pay attention that our verb here is not regular. However, it is irregular, so the verb completely changed. to say I write. This sentence is in the present. I say I wrote. This sentence is in the past simple. And to conjugate the verb to write and past participle, the verb completely changed. So it became written. So the sentence, or the correct sentence, is 100 Years of Solitude was written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez in 1971. Very good. So this is the last task. Here comes the end of this session. I hope you enjoyed with us. I wish you all success. Do your best. I'm teacher حلفاية توفيق. Until next time, I have to say take care of yourselves and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
شكرا على المشاهدة. لا تنسوا الاشتراك في القناة، الضغط على الجرس، الإعجاب بالفيديو.